out of Nederland.
He evacuated.
He evacuated, but we didn't even think that he was going to be with us today, but clearly he is with us today. Kind of.
And you got to fly
over. As much as Mars can ever be with us, if you know what I mean.
But you got to fly over the damage as well.
Sit down, and please say something.
Howdy, Mom.
All right. There is that. Yeah, yes, I did get to fly over the damage in Louisiana, and it was eye-opening and devastating to see all of that over there around the Lake Charles area. And our prayers are with all those folks over there, and the best of luck to each and every one of them, because I'll tell you what, they have got a massive recovery effort that's going to take them years to recover from.
Yeah, I think talking to Mike, the Beaumont, Port Arthur area wasn't as damaged as it was from Rita, but I imagine Lake Charles was more damaged than Rita.
And I expected what Lake Charles got from the pictures I saw and what we were talking about that you saw when you flew over it. That's what I was expecting to go back to.
Well,
I'm so
thank
blessed
God that you didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. All right, well, let's get on with the show. And joining us right now via Zoom, we've got John Gray from Gulf Coast Auto Shield. Johnny, it's great to see you, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy Saturday over there at your megaplex off of 59, the Southwest Freeway, and Bissonnette. So let's get right to it, John, and talk about what you've got going on over there. We were talking to John right before we went on the air today and saying, hey, you know what's going on. Every time I've ever been over there, not only does he have a tire shop that is jam-packed, and we're going to go out there in a little bit, jam-packed with cars. He's got cars out front waiting to get in.
They're stacked like cordwood out there.
Yeah, you got to park down the street and walk.
Well, you know, and we've talked about that, and I guess it's a testament to everybody about the success of John's actual efforts over there at Gulf Coast Auto Shield. And so why did you name it Gulf Coast Auto Shield? Let's start with that.
Well, I named it Gulf Coast Auto Shield because I didn't want to be a detail shopper. I didn't want to be known as a detail shop. The things that we do here are more protective services. So, you know, window tint is a protective service. Paint protection film is a protective service. The ceramic coatings are a protective service. So it's more than just way more than just detailing. It's more about protecting your investment and protecting your car. And so I thought, also radar detectors, that's another protective service that we offer. So it's more than just detailing and whatnot. I wanted to be known as a place where you could get your car protected.
And so the interesting conversation that we were having right before we went on the air, we asked him, said, John, so what's the deal? What's the hot item over there? And you said, window tint. And I'm going, wait a minute. I've been doing window tint since window tint was available on the cars back in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, but you did the lick and stick window tint.
That's right.
You bought yours at AutoZone or J.C. Whitney and put it on. John puts on some pretty high-tech stuff.
But so, John, the question is, why all of a sudden has window tint exploded? I mean, I don't get it. What's the deal?
Well, I tell you, window tint is so much different today than it was, say, 5 years ago. You know, you can get a window tint now that is virtually clear, and it's going to reject a bunch of heat. And so not only is that going to make the car more comfortable when you get into it, but it's going to your car is going to work less. Your car is going to work less hard when it comes to the air conditioning system.
Right.
And, you know, you've got so many more electric cars now on the road. You know, the big hitters right now, the Tesla Model 3 and the Model Y, these clients are obsessed with range and with battery life. And so they're putting on, you know, some really high-end stuff on virtually every piece of glass in that car. And it does make a difference. It makes a difference in the range on the car.
Well, it takes the load off the air conditioner that sucks down the battery.
Right. If the AC works less time, then the battery range expands.
So, John, whenever we say window tint, I mean, I always visualize getting darker and, you know, how dark can you make it legally and all that. But you're saying that window tint doesn't necessarily have to be that way?
No, not at all. I've got window tint that we put it on windshields, and technically the state doesn't like that, but it's done in such a way that I'd never have anybody fail an inspection or get stopped for it. And
because you can't see it.
because you really can't see it. And you will notice also less glare from headlights coming towards you, and it visually just makes what you're seeing sharper.
So really, the term window tint doesn't necessarily apply. It's window treatment, really.
Yeah, kind of. But you can go down and get your window film. Most people are getting the 30% all the way around, which is your standard, legal window film in the state of Texas that you put on the front too. Maybe they get it darker, a little darker in the back, but it does not have to have a lot of tint in it to actually reject a lot of heat. And oh, by the way, you will probably see us moving into a new arena involving tint, and that's residential window film and commercial window film. We're going to try to get that going here shortly.
Oh, wow.
Because the same technology in the automotive world has is moved over into window film for homes and for businesses. So there's a little bit more complication with doing that, because you've got different types of low E glass, double pane glass, and whatnot.
Right.
So you've got to really know what you're putting on what glass. But man, it can make a difference in your AC bills at your house, in your business as well, if you do it.
So window tint. Okay, so let's move on now and let's talk about. Actually, let's start with paint correction, because we got to do the paint correction before we can put any kind of a coating on it, ceramic coating, etc. So you guys specialize in actually doing paint correction. So if I've got a new car, let's face it. I mean, today's factory paint jobs are pretty darn good. Do you actually have a business where you take a brand new car and do paint correction on it?
All the time, and I've got one outside that I'm going to walk outside and show you. We've got a new Porsche GT4, which is just absolute monster of a car.
Well, let's go out and take a look at it.
It takes one wash from a dealership to screw up the paint job.
Wow.
And that's it. And that's the truth.
So just John looking at it's going to screw up the paint job after the way he used to treat cars.
That's right.
Hey, John, what is the component in this tint you're talking about that does such a good reflective job without putting a color change on the glass?
Well, there's nanoceramic particles in these films, and you're asking. I'm not a scientist.
But you stayed at a Holiday Inn last night, right?
That's right. But there's nanoceramic particles in there, and the quality of these nanoceramic particles will dictate how much tint or how much heat they will reject. So this car right here is the Porsche GT4, and you can see we're kind of working on it. It's got a full front clear bra on it, and we're doing some ceramic. See it. Yeah, we're doing some ceramic coating. Well, the big deal is it's a white car, and if you look at the fender, you're not going to see a color change between the fender and it's protected and the door that doesn't have clear bra on it.
So you run it all the way back, the whole fender, then you go back to that body section point instead of just a line like maybe right behind the headlights or something.
Yeah, that's correct. And the reason why on this car is the guy's going to track this car, which is exactly what he should do with it. It's going to get ceramic coating on it. We've already polished it out. It's got the full front clear bra on it, and we're going to ceramic it, put it under the lights, and get it delivered to the dealership later today, so the customer can take possession of it.
So this is a car that clearly doesn't have a license plate on it. So you took this directly from the dealership, but you always start your process with paint correction. How much paint correction do you have to do on a car that's fresh off the showroom floor?
Man, there will be cars. We had a car in here. I'm not going to mention the manufacturer, but you know how the cars will come in and they've got plastic on them usually.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen that. Well, if you get moisture behind that plastic, and that plastic, if it's allowed to dry at any point, it will booger up that paint something terrible, and you actually have to wet sand it to get it fixed.
Oh my God!
And this was a $250,000 car. And so that took quite a while to get that taken care of. So you never know what you're going to get. And, sometimes it's not actually the dealership that's damaging the car. The port where they're coming into and where they're getting prepped is sometimes the worst out of all of them.
Okay, so we've got all of that. You also mentioned to me before the show that you're also doing a lot of radar detectors.
We're doing a lot of built-in radar detectors, and I'll walk over here. I'm going to show you my car.
Do you still have the Shelby?
That's it right there.
Yeah, baby.
It's going to the Ozarks at the end of October.
Now, is this the 350?
This is the 350 Heritage car.
Yeah. Well, it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's
And
a
I have to
car.
tell everybody, I had an opportunity to hear that car run. Oh, my gosh. That car sounds absolutely incredible. Now, that's the Mustang that's got the flat flame
plane, right.
crank in it, and it sounds so different than a regular crank.
Yeah, it's a really great sounding car. So if you look, I'm gonna try to get up close here. Do you see right there? You see that little thing hanging down there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a laser diffuser.
Laser.
A laser diffuser does what?
Kills the love bugs before they hit your windshield.
You're darn right. And so if you're driving down the freeway and you get, say, you come over the hill and somebody's standing there with a laser gun, it's gonna jam that laser gun.
Yeah. Diffuser. Okay.
Yeah.
Laser diffuser.
So
And
does it diffuse it over to the person that you just passed by 100 miles an hour?
No, but typically with these, and we've run some tests with some laser guns.
Field
You know,
test.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some clients that are in law enforcement, and they were more than willing to help me. So these guns will jam and on their own. But what this does is it takes that signal and it sends back an error message, and then it shuts itself off in about 3 seconds to allow them to get another reading on you, so that they don't think they're being jammed.
So it helps it jam.
Oh, it does. It does not
But-
only that.
But it also
This
gives you enough time to slam on the brakes and get within a reasonable speed limit, so you don't get a ticket.
That's right. And not only that, it gives you it gives you time to slow down, but it also, this particular technology on this system, which is the best, anti-laser priority, it tells me what kind of gun the guy is shooting at the car.
Oh.
It is ridiculous.
I love it. Well, Stephen
And-
Woodard with the DPS, never mind. Don't pay any attention to this program today.
Now, it's not a radar jammer. It also has a radar detector built into it, but laser is laser is line of sight. You come over the hill, you get no warning, you're done.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, they're really interesting, and they double as parking sensors too. Helps with the legality.
And that's what they're there for, is parking sensors.
That's right.
The side benefit is the laser jamming.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
And those you do the install. Do they always have to be installed outside of the vehicle, or can it work through the glass?
Laser diffusers have to have a direct line of sight
Okay.
with the gun. They always have to have a direct line of sight. Radar detectors can run through the bumper.
So
and do work well through the bumper.
I see that we have a C8 Corvette with dealer plates on it there.
Yeah. This is actually Jason Cohen from MTI. He was a guest on your show one time.
Yes.
This is his personal car, a good friend of mine, and man, for the money, what a car! This
Unbelievable, isn't it? I don't know how they can do it for
Unbelievable.
60 grand, but whatever. So show me some other cars that you got in there.
All right, we got a Hellcat Red Eye in here. It's not the wide body edition, but man, it's fantastic. We got a Model Y, Tesla Model Y. Which
You know,
is
when
the
I
new
was in there, you always have
SUV.
2 or 3 Teslas in there all the
Good
time.
relationship. Good relationship with the Tesla group for
Yeah,
sure.
Right.
With the Tesla owners group, or the Tesla
Yeah.
sales store here in town?
Owners group.
What-
Here's your new Model 3.
Nice.
And here's a Subaru getting paint protection film. So it's not just expensive cars that we're working on here. It's your everyday driver that people want to take care of that get paint protection film on them.
Well, yeah. I mean,
It's a big investment nowadays.
let's face it. I mean, there are a lot of people that have a regular car that they're going to keep for 10 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
An
this is a
Audi
great way to do
R8.
it. Yeah.
It's
Wow.
an
Audi R8. Yeah,
that
this
beautiful?
is so funny. This is a car that we did the full front on for a client, and then another client bought it from my client, and very well taken care of car. And so we're going to finish the job and do the rest of the car. This is a 2014 Cayman for a client that I know very well. We added an integrated backup camera into the Porsche PCM module. So this guy didn't have a backup camera before. We didn't have to change his radio. It looks exactly like factory.
But it feeds the camera feed into the screen on the dash.
The existing screen
Wow.
on the Porsche PCM.
Well, you know,
Company.
last time we talked about this, I knew that you were really getting into all of the electronic stuff, and I guess it just kind of just through the connection that you have with these high-end owners, they're looking for somebody that can do some high-end upgrades to not only the stereos, clearly because of the radar detectors and other electronics work that you're now doing in there. So you've become a force in the electronics industry as well.
Well, I tell you, the 12-volt business is becoming tougher and tougher because the vehicles are getting harder and harder to work on. Stereos in cars, most of them are really, really good. So you've got to diversify. It's the add-ons and lights and things that these 12 guys are doing now. And you're going to see some shops that are heavy into 12 volt that didn't diversify. They're going to be gone.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also have to listen to your customers and what they're asking for, and make sure you're serving your customers correctly. Oh, look, a transit van.
All right, check this out. So this is a van for a buddy of mine that does glass. Rick at Hockley Auto Glass. He's the best I've ever seen. So what we did with this thing is he basically drove it from the dealership over here. We did a full front paint protection kit on it. We did vinyl on the black vinyl on the sides to make it look like it had windows in it. And
how funny is that?
That is really cool, though, man. I love that look.
Yeah. So we also have some insulating foam that we're going to do on the entire inside of the car, and it'll keep it about 20 degrees cooler in the back of that van. It's almost like a radiant barrier for a vehicle.
That's a great idea. Yeah. My Transit, the temperature varies, especially when it gets hot out. What you need to do is the side glass stuff and have people sitting in there, different famous people in there, like George Washington.
Yeah, cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
You could even put us in there.
Make it look like a professional sports arena.
That is so funny. That would actually be a pretty good idea, and I'm gonna mention that to him.
Be sure you get Bernie in there. Weekend at Bernie's, you need to be sure he's in there.
Well, John,
maybe you could put Sid the Squid in there.
She'd go. She'd do it.
No doubt. Well, John, what a great tour. What a great interview. We really always appreciate you taking the time and talking to us. And we want to tell everybody it's GulfCoastAutoShield.com. Am I correct?
Yeah, GCAutoshield.com, GulfCoastAutoShield.com, 832-264-0670. We're located over on Summerbell near Momentum Porsche behind Greenway Mazda. And even if somebody has a question, man, I certainly don't mind taking a phone call just to answer a question. Or if you're going to another shop, that's fantastic. I can if you're not in my part of town, I can direct you to somebody that will treat you well in town.
Well, you've been a great dear friend and a go-to guy for us here at In Wheel Time. We sure appreciate our friendship, and we thank you so much for being with us today. Tell everybody over there we said hello. Best of luck to you. Stay in touch with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you, man. Okay, man. We could do a 2-hour show.
I was sitting there. I was looking at the clock. And I was going, man. Can we talk to him about another 5 minutes? Just give us 5 more minutes.
I'm always excited just to see all the toys he has in the shop.
I know.
He's always got such cool
and
cars.
the stuff he's talking about, like the technology he's getting into. The Ram truck I got, the 2015, the new Uconnect system is so different. So I was checking around. I checked with Ram to see how, can you upgrade that? No, you got a whole new head. The technology is just so different in the 4 or 5 years that people like him are going to have a real cool job keeping up if you can make that adaptation.
The other thing is when you look at the level of cars he brings in there, they trust him. Yes. Whether it's the dealership trust him, the owner groups trust him. So the quality of his work is exceptional.
Yep, that's exactly
it speaks for itself.
All right, coming up, we're going to have a review of the Nissan Murano. It's coming up next here on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Stay with us.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hey, thanks for joining us for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. We're coming to you live. And if you're listening on a podcast that we have after the show is over with, welcome to the show. This show airs every Saturday from 10 until noon, and we sure appreciate you hanging in there with us. Time now for this hour's car review. We do a car review each hour. Mr. Mars is starting off this time, this week. We kind of swap out, but you got the Nissan Murano. Love Nissans.
And this is their mid-size SUV that they've been putting out there for a couple of years now. And to get an idea of what size it is, it's kind of slotted between the Rogue and the full-size Pathfinder, which is a 3-row vehicle. And but they were smart, and they kept the Murano to a 2-seat, 2 rows passenger vehicle. So you don't have all that mess in the back in the third row trying to cram in some more seats back there in that little space. Now, this does come in 4 different trim levels. You got the S, the SV, the SL, and then the Platinum. We had the SV in the front-wheel drive. You can get an all-wheel drive in this vehicle, but it is truly a CUV more than an SUV because you're not going to take it off-road. You know, you could run it down to the beach or someplace like that, or snow, it'll be fine. But to really go off-road, that's not what this vehicle is designed for. Now, on the exterior, you're going to see up front, you're going to see that V-Motion grille design that they've gone to. It works out really well across several different models. It's got the LED headlamps. The daytime running lamps are also LED rear. And we happen to have the optional fog lights that were LED as well. Heated side mirrors, had the black roof rails that go along with it. Dual panel moonroof on it. Now, this was kind of so you got a little bit up front, a little bit in the back. The way the heat's been down here in Texas, one would have been sufficient right now. Now, you're also going to find that it comes with the standard 18-inch aluminum alloy wheels.
Wow, look at that interior.
Now, you get into the interior. Yeah, we had the leather seating interior. And we had the front seats are heated. The rear seats do recline quite a bit, actually, to where it makes it a lot more comfortable because of the added leg room because they didn't put the third seat in it. So up front, you're also going to find you got a 7-inch advanced driver assist display, and that's where you're going to find your gauge package with all the information for the driver. It's also got an 8-inch color display right in the center stack there. That's where you're going to find the Nissan Connect system. Now, this is their infotainment system, your Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto. One good thing about this vehicle, it's got 2 USB ports that are data and charging up front, but it's got 2 USBs in the back seat for charging so that the kids or whoever's back there can also charge their attachments. A lot of vehicles here lately have gone down to 2. So Nissan's got 4, and that's a great add. Now, you can also, because they don't have that third row seat, you fold it down, you can get 67 cubic feet of space in there. Now, you want to know kind of what that is, how much space that is? Think about your refrigerator. And when you go to buy a refrigerator, how much stuff? 20 cubic feet, 23 cubic feet, something like that. Give you a little bit of an idea about how much stuff you can put in there, which is quite a bit when you go to packing it. Maybe even Jeff's whole dorm kit or something. Now, up under the hood, you got one choice on the engine. It's a 3.5-liter V6, 260 horsepower, 240 pound-feet of torque. Now, this is backed by the CVT transmission. Nissan's done a great job about the CVT and how they can keep it all put together. It will tow 1,500 pounds. And the EPA says in the city you should get about 20 miles per gallon. On the highway, you'd be at 28, and you combine for about 23. Now, the week that I had it, I got 22 out of it over an overall
That's
driving.
pretty good.
And I thought it was really good because it was a nice driving vehicle. It's got a very sedan-like ride because it's kind of on that. It is built on a sedan platform, and so it's not really an off-road. It's not an off-road pretender. Don't even think about it. So if you're looking for something to compare it to, you might look at the Honda Passport for $31,990 starting. Even the new Chevy Blazer's down around $28,800, or the larger VW Atlas at $31,545. Now, the Nissan Murano SV that we had started out at a base price of $35,160. We had a couple little options, get it dealer delivered and everything. The MSR as tested was $39,435.
Wow, that's a $10,000 bump.
It is. It's where we picked up all the LED, the leather seating, and the heated seating, and there's lots of stuff that came in there that if you look at it, you think, well, that's the way it is. It is. That's an upgrade on that bill. It's almost the top of the line.
You know, to me, when you get into a $10,000 price difference in the same model car,
Give another model upgrade.
well, you would think that you would want to look at the next step up. In this case, I don't know what
it would be the platinum to go. So it would be top
No,
of the line.
I'm not talking about trim levels now. I'm talking about actual vehicles.
Oh, okay.
Because
Oh,
just
okay.
the next
move
size
up.
up.
Then you go up to the Pathfinder, which is a full 3-row vehicle, and
Yeah.
it's considerably bigger.
But at that price point, under 40 is really very competitive with a lot of the other mid-size SUVs that are out there that are pretty well contented.
Well, and the other thing is too is that average prices of cars that are being sold today are really hitting on that $40,000 mark, and with 7-year financing at 0%, why not?
Well, and that's the other thing. You got to look at that 0% financing. And if you're like a lot of us and you keep a vehicle 10, 12, even 13 years sometimes, that 7% at zero, if you can get it, it's pretty enticing.
Yep.
Pretty enticing.
Well, I'm just saying,
to
you
say
know.
the least.
What's
So-
it, like $12 per thousand?
12 or 13 or
Yeah.
something like that, depending on where you're at. But again, but if you're somebody that turns a vehicle over every 2 or 3 years, then you might not have. That's probably not the thing to do.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, time now. Let's do the events calendar real quick. We got about a minute or so.
So, tonight is Nifty 50s is on. Remember, Randy's going every other week now. So, Nifty 50s up at Grogan's Mill, up in the Woodlands. The Sam Schmidt benefit this afternoon at 2 p.m. in Magnolia. There is the Third Coast Takeover at the Sam Houston Race Park. That's at 2 p.m. today. 5 p.m. today is the car show for Camp Hope and the monthly cruise out of Santa Fe. 6 p.m. tonight is the Kima Car Meet and Show. That's an every week event. Great event to go to. Tomorrow morning is going to be the Houston SCCA Autocross in Lamarck at the Greyhound track. So Richard Tomlin and his crew will be there as well. The Low Life meet at 249.
That's a Don Armstrong event.
Well,
there.
it's a lowrider club.
Low Life.
At the Rodeo Bar and Grill off of Highway 249 in Tomball. And Sunday night is going to be Freddy's at 1960 in Eldridge, and Wednesday night will be Freddy's out in Katy. Friday night will be Freddy's at Kirkendall on 2920.
Freddy's is hot into the car club.
The Freddy's
and stuff.
Steak Burger place has got a real good relationship with Kerry Kirkley and Showplace Classics.
Okay.
And there's like 5 meets throughout town that they're very consistent with every weekend.
Very nice. Hey, calling all car, truck, and Jeep clubs. We'd love to feature you a bunch in our car club spotlight. All you have to do is shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Please include your contact information. We'll get your bunch on the show. And In Wheel Time continues after this quick break.
Do you know what teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Hello, everybody. This is the award-winning car talk show In Wheel Time. your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Along with Mike out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us on this Saturday. It is a beautiful Saturday after all we've been through here this week around the upper Texas Gulf Coast, and especially over in Louisiana. It's been quite a ride. So
Praying for everybody over in East Texas and West Louisiana. What a mess.
Yeah, that Lake Charles area, and got to fly over all of that, all the way from Cameron through Lake Charles and a couple of other places, Hackberry and Iowa, Louisiana. Really total devastation through there, and it's really sad to see. And the power's still out. It's going to be a while before the power gets up, from what I saw. And actually, some of the power outages over there, over into the Beaumont area where Mars lives.
Because that's where the power comes from, is
over there.
Right?
Yeah, we still got a lot of people out power. In fact, my mother's still, her house, when I was there last night, was still out of power. Yeah. And I'm hoping it comes on today. But I think the last report I saw, there was still like about 80,000 people out.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to the Cajun Navy. They were the ones who came and got me out of my house for Harvey. And I know they've been extremely active over in the Lake Charles area, getting people safe.
Yeah, that's quite a crew. And
we had them on the show some time ago.
We did. Yeah, we did. We were talking about, I believe, the Ram trucks and all of that sort of stuff. But anyway, so we have with us now a dear friend of mine, I am glad to say, and she might not think of me that way, but whatever the case may be.
May not claim you.
That's right. Well, most people don't. Gina Child Knowles, and she's with Houston Motorsports Park, and more specifically with the Texas Short Track Racing Series, and she is the promoter out at Houston Motorsports Park. Jeannie, you look lovely this morning, and we thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Good morning, guys.
Good morning to you. So I wanted to really bring everybody in and up to date with Houston Motorsports Park and the Texas Short Track Racing Series. You know, first of all, let's talk about next weekend's event. Things have been going, I think, from a fan's point of view, and although that I am kind of involved with you now out there at the park during race nights, I think that things are going relatively well. I mean, you know, you've only really taken hold of this the past few years, and, you know, managed to build an actual following out there, and I think that the racers are pretty satisfied. You got a core group of folks that come out there, and you tell me, how are things going?
And you put on a hell of a show.
Well, thank you. It's going good. I took it over July of last year, but I've always helped them,
right?
You know, before. So, you know, if COVID didn't happen, I think we would be in a
much better
in
place.
A better place.
Yes, of course, right.
Definitely. But this is racing. It's a roller coaster. I've been on it my whole life, and it's up and down. And we're just happy to have people coming out and experiencing it that hasn't been a race fan before. And boy, you can tell them when they see it. They always stop me and say, "Oh my gosh, thanks! This is awesome! Thanks for letting us know about it." I love that. That is the paycheck.
Well, I have to tell you that. So I did not know Gina clearly, but I saw her grandfather race at Myers Speedway. And so I have always, since I was about 12 or 13, been in touch with the Child family as a fan. And now, thank goodness that she's kind of brought me into the fold. So I know her husband and daughter and the rest of her family. And it's really nice to be connected that way, because I've always been a circle track racing fan, and especially when it comes to asphalt racing. And so I kind of grew up on half-mile asphalt at Myers Speedway. The track out of Houston Motorsports Park is a 3/8 mile, which I think is really perfect. So the speeds aren't incredibly fast, but
they're fast enough.
They're fast enough.
Well, the coolest thing about this is it's local. You know, the Texas Short Track Racing it's local people that are there, and you bring other people in from out of the area, but this isn't some big, huge, all these people that don't live in the area and come in here and race. You're talking to people who live in and around the Houston area that come to race. So, and it's real family oriented, you know, bring the kids, you know, you get to wander through the pit area. Heck, you might actually get a chance to help some of them, because they're all looking for a little bit of help if you can bring a little skill.
Well, and the other thing is she's taken it and elevated as well, because now you've got the association with NASCAR. So it's not just a bunch of guys getting together, but it's actually a race and everybody feels good. You just elevated the level of it.
Right. You know what's funny to me? It's always been like that. It's always been the center of our household and our lives. And so you don't realize that until you get older and you get away from it and you go to school and you get married and have kids. I didn't go around it for a little bit. And when I went back to the first race, it was just an odd feeling. The minute I opened the car door and stepped out and heard the cars on the track, it was like, it was weird. It's so, it's
music to your
ridiculous.
ears. Yeah.
Well, it's just a lot. It's just a lot different. It's like it's like going to a baseball game or a football game or something like. You can watch it on TV, and you probably can get a better shot at what's going on. But to go there and experience, to feel it while you're there, while watching it and hearing it.
Yes.
Well, and the other thing is too, Gina, if I can interrupt here, and that is the fact that you've got a core group of racers that come out there, and if you go to the races, you're going to have your favorites. It's like your favorite pitcher, your third baseman, whatever it is, and you're going to root for them, and you get really into it, and you're going to start seeing some of the same guys win every week. Now, that's not to say it's a runaway race. They don't win by, a whole lap or something, but these guys are consistently good. And there's one particular guy that races 2 or 3 different categories of car, and sometimes on the same night. And I think his name is Chris, if I'm not mistaken.
Casey Smith.
Casey Smith.
Yes.
And this guy has got a great personality, all-American guy.
Yeah.
And, he's not braggadocious or anything, very humble and very thankful for what he's got. But, these car owners, not necessarily the car owners drive these cars.
Right.
And so he's a hired gun, so to speak. And this guy rocks it.
Well, and one of the hired guns you had last race was the pace car driver, our own Don Armstrong.
You could tell when his confidence would come out because you heard it through the throttle when he hit it on that back.
He just liked being in first.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I'll tell you what, it's such a different experience because, most fans don't get to listen to the race director, and the race director is kind of like the conductor because it's not Gina. She's got people that does this for her, a couple in particular, and they're very good at what they do. They know what they're doing. They know when to put a car back to the back of the field. They tell me, get the pace car out there. You're going to go right behind this car. We need to pick up the pace a little bit, slow it down.
Get off the track, pace car.
Yeah. But most people don't understand or know any of that.
Yeah, because it's a very coordinated dance.
Well,
and he is
Yes.
the lead of that coordination because he's getting input from people telling him, no, here's the position,
Here or she.
Or she, and then they have to
that's right.
communicate that to the track and then to the drivers and then to the pace car about the when, where you have to be out there and what you're supposed to be doing. And you were a rookie at it, but you did a wonderful job.
Well, thank you.
And he wants to do it again, Gina.
Well,
I figured. I kind of thought that.
Yeah, well, what the nice thing about it was I had a place to sit in air conditioning while the race was going on. And then as soon as the race was over with, I got to drive around to do my post-race winner interview out there at the start-finish line. So it all kind of worked out
You were
pretty good.
such a star, Don.
Well, I don't know about that.
See, if you start doing it on a regular basis, we'll get you some stickers to put on your car. We'll put some big number on the side of the Corvette. We can put big white numbers on it.
You know what?
And stickers.
We're not letting you put any stickers on my car. Now, Gina, maybe, but not you, sir. So, Gina, how has it been to orchestrate this? Is this your first go at trying to be actually being a successful promoter? I mean, you clearly have had help with a lot of people that support you, but I know that this has been kind of a learning experience for you because you've dealt with COVID. You got to deal with racers and attitudes every week. You've got an entire staff of people that actually help you put on this race. I mean, it's not just opening the gate and taking the tickets.
Well, and you have to coordinate the feed help that you get, whether it was Don or I understand you're doing a food truck event out there this Labor Day weekend. So, you're doing not just the standard stuff that's going on. You're always bringing in new ideas, new things to get the fans excited out in the stands as well.
It's funny. I've always, been a racer from a family standpoint. And when your dad does it, it's one thing. And when my brother did it, always did it, of course, all of them do. But one of them in particular wanted to go into NASCAR. So I started doing marketing stuff for him. And it was a whole new, you really had to look at what the fan watches and what they see and what they like. And I did that for my brother and my son. And it put things into perspective. When I potentially stepped into this role is when I had heard that it probably was going to go away again. And I had been involved for, the first 2 years of it. And I had stepped away because my photography business was booming. And so when I heard that, I thought, well, I'm going to go watch. So I shot a wedding and I went to the track and I thought I'd catch the last 30 minutes. And it was already almost 10 o'clock and they ran till midnight.
Oh, wow.
Almost midnight. And it was kind of disheartening because it's just where racing goes when you don't have people keeping it together. Let's say you have 5 guys with one race car and 5 other guys with a similar race car, but they all want to race. Well, you've got a lot of guys like that with 5 cars and 5 cars and 5 cars. And you don't want to let them all race back to back because the fans wouldn't come to watch it. They would, but it would be the racing fans. It'd be the fans that would be there anyway. So you don't make money from it. And that's where they were. I could see where they had gone and they were trying to accommodate. That's the hardest part about my job is having to tell a racer he can't race, especially when you're doing you're promoting the only asphalt short track in Texas. I don't like that part of this job. But you have to represent it. You have to present it to the fans. It's in the presentation is what I feel like.
And the support that you get because you've got NASCAR involved as a local track. You've also got Advanced Auto Parts heavily involved. And I believe they're the ones who are going to be there as the title sponsor for your September 5th race.
Yep, definitely.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I couldn't have done it without Advance. Advance has been on board with racing at HMP for about 3 years. Since it first started, the second race when they reopened the track. And those guys are fantastic. Mike Cooper, who is my contact, he owned a racetrack previously, so he understands the struggles. And a lot of the times he'll just call me up and he'll know what we're struggling with and he'll help me out. So it's fantastic having that backing. And then on top of that, this year they became the title sponsor of NASCAR Weekly Series. So it's the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series. That means since we're NASCAR sanctioned, our guys are a part of that weekly series. So it's it helps.
Well, it helps on both sides of it. But, the other thing, too, Gina, and I wanted to make this clear, is that you talked about, making money. Let's face it. I mean, there's not a big payday for you here because all of the funds that you have go to the track, the people that help run the event, and the racers, because the racers wouldn't be there if there wasn't some kind of purse. And let's face fact, the purse is $50, $100. Yeah. I mean, what does that buy? Maybe a can of gas.
That's right. It's a delicate dance that you have to dance. And if you take money from it in the start, it will not make it. There's everybody in racing needs money. There's no ifs, ands, buts about that. So you have to find the other dollars. Everybody wants a piece of $1 and they want to split it. You got to go look for more. And they don't do that. And that is what, NASCAR being a sanctioned track, that helps me with that, find a new level of sponsors that you have to build something solid.
Right.
But no, there's no money in it right now. And it might look like it, but this is the hard part. But I guarantee you, if I last, I'm going to be making money.
Well, you're going to last because I know for a fact that you've got support. I mean, I do what I can to help you. And I know that you've got a lot of other people out there like myself that are trying to, because of the love of the sport. I mean, I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing it because I love the sport. I love her, but I love the sport. And
well, you go back to the 60s with
did you have
racing.
to bring that up?
Well, I was going to say the 50s, but
well, actually, it was
probably closer.
It actually was the 50s is when my first exposure was at
Playland Park.
No, actually, it wasn't. I was in Wisconsin at the time. And it was at the Milwaukee Mile and the Wisconsin State Fair, and that was where and it was dirt back then. And I had never seen
your first exposure?
Yeah, the first exposure, and I was, I don't know, 7, 8 years old maybe. But then man, it stuck with me, and it stuck with me all these years. And then when we moved to Westbury, Meyer Speedway was just within walking distance. And
you could hear them run.
Yeah, you could hear them on Saturday night. And so it's always been a part of my soul. And as much as I love drag racing, I love all kinds of racing. But this is where my heart is in circle track asphalt. And I know that I'm not by myself. There's a lot of us out there.
I feel exactly the same way. Exactly. No other type of racing does the same thing to me. This is totally different.
And especially when it gets to a local level, and you can get to know you've got your favorite drivers that you pull for, and you know everybody wants the winner, but there's also that dark side. You're going to go, yeah, get up there. That guy is in last place, and here he comes roaring around, and it's a race to the finish.
Well, it's like me, because when I go, I'm always rooting for that guy driving that teal-colored Oldsmobile Cutlass front-wheel drive car. I'm rooting him on, and he just needs more power and better brakes.
Well, Gina, we're going to
continue. You know what? You would like. I know you've been out the track, but Greg Davidson is one of our racers, a veteran racer. He always was the Oldsmobile guy. You would love.
I need to chat with him one time.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, 100%. You know, if he could still run it, he would.
Well, Gina,
but he was the loner of the track.
So, Gina, we're going to break away. We got some other things we need to take care of. We're going to get back with you in about 45 minutes at the bottom of the hour. So, I want you to hang in there with us, and we'll be back with you soon.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Gina Child-Knowles, and she is with the Texas Short Track Racing Series up at Houston Motorsports Park. Big event next Saturday night, and we invite everybody to come on out. In Wheel Time continues after a quick break, and we're going to have Conrad's Car Clinic.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still doesn't stop. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
You're on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Thanks for riding with us today. We really appreciate it. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. Once a week, Conrad delves into what he knows best, and that is the inner workings of an automobile and engines and that sort of stuff. I spent a lot of years with the factory as a factory rep.
General Motors, 25 years with General Motors, and I just celebrated my 11th year with BG Products.
Way to go.
So my son laughs at me because he's a millennial and he hasn't worked for anybody for more than 3 years. He goes, how'd you do that for 25 years?
Well, at least he's not living in the basement.
No, he's not. He lives on his own.
That's good.
I don't give him any
So
money.
what do you got on the car clinic
Well,
today?
you and I talked earlier in the week that a good topic for this weekend may be, doing a little inspection of a used vehicle for flood damage.
Yep.
With all of this that's, going to be coming out of Lake Charles.
Or wind damage, for that matter.
Right. But all of this that's going to be coming out of Lake Charles, is there an opportunity for somebody to dump some flooded cars into our market? And right now, absolutely there is, because the used car market is hungry for inventory. The new car market's hungry for inventory too, but we need to look at, what's going on the used car. So some simple things you can do is, check the vehicle's title, check with Carfax, Experian, the Motor Vehicle Title Information System, the National Insurance Crime Bureau VIN check. Those are all easy things. If you have the 17-digit VIN, you can just punch it in and get some information on the vehicle. And I would highly recommend you do that on anything before you buy. Now, Carfax and Experian, there's a fee involved, but the Crime Bureau and the Vehicle Title Information System, those are free.
But even a small fee for a Carfax or something like that, if you're looking at a $20,000 purchase, that's going to be minor to save yourself.
It's a good investment to make. Absolutely it is. Examine the interior and the engine compartment for evidence of water. You can always see a debris line inside the car. Check the radiator front, back, and the AC condenser front and back to see if there's water, a lot of leaves packed in, some mud packed in.
Like a water line or something.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is, a water line. So also look inside the door hinge area, because that's an area that's real difficult to clean. And what you're looking for is that water line, that mud line, a lot of leaves and pine needles and stuff all packed in there. It's a pretty good indication. Check for recently shampooed or replaced carpets. If you're looking at a car that's 5 years old and has brand new carpet in it,
Red flag.
Yeah, it could be a red flag. You want to look a little bit further. I would recommend you pull the door seals out, the door sills out, the little trim piece that holds the carpet in place on the side. Relatively easy to get out. Lift up the carpet, look underneath, look and see if it's got fresh carpet and fresh padding underneath, because that's always an indication that
Stick your hand in there, pull your hand out and smell. It's always a good.
It's like a 1-year-old's diaper. It'll smell the same. Sorry, I did go there. Look under the carpeting for water residue, stains, evaporated water.
I have all of that in my mind now, and it will be there for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Inspect the interior for rust under the carpeting. Look underneath the dash for rust. Look underneath the seats. One of the things is, if the car's had water in it and the car stayed closed up, all of that stuff begins to corrode pretty quick. So, check for rust on the screws in the console area, in the dash, on the door. It shouldn't be, none of that should be there. Look for mud or grit in the crevices in the under the hood around the engine, behind the power steering pump, behind the alternator, up in the intake manifold. There shouldn't be a whole lot of junk up there, but sometimes, they can't clean all that out, so it's a pretty good indicator. Inspect the electrical system for rusted components and water residue or suspicious corrosion. The biggest problem today with a car that has been in deep water or has had water in it is not the carpet, the seats, all of that. It's the electrical systems. All of these electrical systems are designed to absorb some splash, but they're not designed for submersion in the water. And once that happens, especially a lot of these modules, they are going to fail in a relatively short period of time. And that corrosion starts turning all kinds of lights on and things quit working in your car and is unbelievably expensive to fix at some point in the future. So it's worth taking it to an expert to do a pre-purchase inspection on it. And if the seller is unwilling to do that, walk.
Yeah, absolutely. In kind of going with the flow in that, Hurricane Laura left behind major destruction this week, as you have probably seen on television in Louisiana. And auto dealers on Friday still trying to assess the damage over there. The Associated Press said a full assessment could take days. Laura was responsible for at least 6 deaths over there. Louisiana Automobile Dealers Association President Will Green told Auto News in an email Friday that he's continuing to check in with dealers throughout the state as they survey the damage at their stores. He says there are still many without power and water in the areas most affected, he wrote. He said it is too early to tell how long the dealerships will remain closed. Lake Charles dealer Philip Tarver said Thursday there's no electricity or water available in the area about 50 miles north of Cameron where the hurricane made landfall. Beaumont dealer Mitchell Dale closed Wednesday and Thursday and moved inventory to higher ground. He was pleasantly surprised, he said, to find minimal damage at his store on Thursday. He said, when you look at the damage that the storm did, he said, we could possibly be hit. I would do the same thing next time. He said it was the right thing to do knowing the information we knew. Dale reopened McCree Ford for normal business hours yesterday morning. He said, we're sorry for the folks that got hit, but grateful that we did.
And Mike had posted the picture of the Chrysler store there in Niederville.
Well, it was in Port Arthur. It was actually the Port Arthur store. They got wiped out whenever Harvey came through. They literally, I was shocked to pull up there. I was going to Lowe's to get some more supplies, and their
lot was absolutely empty.
It was like the dealership was gone. I don't know where they put them all. I mean, they're used, they're pre-owned, everything was gone.
Well, they're protecting their investment.
Oh, absolutely. I think, like he said, it was the right thing to do, particularly down in Port Arthur with what we were being told.
Hey, believe this or not, Tesla factory got cyber attacked, and we're going to have that story coming up right after a quick break here on the In Wheel Time Car Show.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
You know that everybody loves your hand gesture.
Yeah, I may be alone for a long time.
Especially after seeing that, that's for sure. Hey, got something ugly or nice to say about our show? Perhaps you're still ticked off about that crappy torque wrench warranty that Craftsman lied to you about. We want to hear about it, too, and share it with all of our friends. All you have to do is shoot us an email with the gripe information to info@inwheeltime.com. Time now to look at some of the stories making news headlines this week. Elon Musk confirmed that the Tesla Incorporated factory in Nevada was the target of a thwarted cyber attack. Musk tweeted on Thursday that this was a serious attack in response to a report that Teslarati, a report by Teslarati, apparently some news service, that an employee at the Gigafactory near Reno had helped the FBI to derail the planned attack by a Russian man who was arrested August 22nd and charged with conspiracy to intentionally damage a protected computer. Justice Department said in a statement Tuesday that Igor, okay, had tried to recruit an employee at an unidentified company to introduce malware to the company's computer system. The malware was intended to extract data from the network and to seek ransom from the company, according to the Justice Department. This guy promised the employee he'd get $1 million after the malware was introduced into the computer network. Busted.
They need to hang him by his feet out in the Arizona desert.
I couldn't agree
until
more.
He dries up and withers away. I'm so sick of this baloney of people just attacking other people just for grins.
Those damned Russians, you know? Remember the movie The Russians Are Coming? The Russians Are Coming?
Yes.
Yeah, and if you're too
I
young,
remember Dr. Strangelove riding riding it down. That was a bad analogy, I'm sure.
No, riding the bomb down? Yeah. What was the actor's name? Famous actor.
I don't recall. George will tell us here. George is online. He's always looking.
Will Chills or something like that?
No, it wasn't that. But famous actor, and what it was.
You've seen him in 50 movies.
He was in The Getaway with Steve McQueen and Ally McGraw, and
and the list goes
lots
on
of
and on.
westerns.
And I thought this was a pretty interesting story too. General Motors has temporarily enlisted salaried volunteers to build midsize pickups at its plant in Wentzville, Missouri, until absenteeism improves or enough temporary workers and transfers arrive. GM spokesman Jim Kane said the number of salaried workers online at Wentzville varies by week. Some weeks the total has exceeded 24, he said. Coronavirus cases continue to climb in Missouri. The state has reported 35,000 new cases in the last month, according to John Hopkins. So,
salaried workers are going to go build your vehicle in Wentzville, as opposed to the trained union workers.
Yeah, and the union's pretty ticked off, as you can imagine.
Of course they're ticked off about everything.
Yeah, and
I've got a couple of union stories here when we get to them later.
All right. Well, yeah. So we're going to, as a matter of fact, you know what? We're just going to go right into it, and we're going to start hour 2. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, you're such a tease.
Let's get
all
after
of
it.
you. Are you ready?
Ride 'em, cowboy.
All right. Well, here we go.
Yeehaw.
From Studio A in Texas, USA, it's the All Things Automotive Car Talk Show in real time. Just ahead, we talk to Texas Asphalt Racing Series boss and promoter Gina Scheil-Knowles about the job of putting together an event. I thought that would be an interesting topic.
Yep.
So how do you do it? How does it all come together? And I think that we're going to drill down with her and figure out exactly how it all comes together. We're also going to take you into our new car showroom this hour and give you a tour of the Nissan Versa. Later on, a peek inside the Mystery Garage. Also, the stories making automotive news headlines this week. All just ahead on the August 29th edition of the In Wheel Time Car Show. Boy, well, I'll be glad when August is over with.
Slim Pickens was
That's what it was.
Slim Pickens.
Is that George? No, you came up with it. Oh.
No, I didn't come up with it. Mike Mars came up with it, so it must be your son.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, Slim Pickens. What
a great name, though.
Well, it is, and what a great actor. Yeehaw! That's some good stuff there. Okay, so I thought that what we would do is I've got a feature that I wanted to bring up at this hour and talk about recalls.
Oh, my God.
Because, you know, back in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, oh my God, they've had a major recall on my car. And it's made major headlines in all the national news, front page of the newspaper, blah, 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 blah. Well, I want you to know that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration issues recalls every week.
Oh, yeah, easily.
And just to give you some idea as to what some of these recalls are, I thought, okay, I'm going to print this out and I'm going to show you
the importance of some of them and the oh my gosh, what are they doing of some of them.
This just happens to be is it 4 pages? Yeah, 4 pages. 4 pages of recalls. Okay,
this week.
So I'm just going to run through these real quick. Thought it would be fun. Triumph Motorcycles, a reflex reflector may detach. Nova Bus, loss of drive from fractured pressure switch.
That could be bad.
New Flyer America. These are manufacturers now. New Flyer America, loss of drive from fractured pressure switch. Apparently they bought from the same pressure switch company. American Hauler, potential axle spindle weld failure. That could be ugly. Daimler Trucks North America, engine harness may contact and chafe. Ford Motor Company, power supply cable incorrectly attached to starter on a Ford F-150.
Sounds like a thermal event to me.
Thermal event. Yeah, thermal event. Ford Motor Company, front brake hoses could rupture on the Ford Edge 2015 to 2018 or the Lincoln MKX 2016 to 2018. Another Ford recall, rear coil springs may fracture on the Lincoln Corsair. These just gives you an idea. So the list goes on and on from all these different manufacturers. So if you get a recall, okay, not necessarily good that you got a recall, meaning there's some sort of an issue.
A defect in material or workmanship.
But you have to understand, car manufacturers, they design and they assemble cars. They make most of them make very little of the components.
It's all vendor supplied.
Correct.
And the manufacturer specs what the vendor has to build. And even in the recall world, some recalls are created that
Correct.
the manufacturer tells NHTSA, hey, our failure rate of this component is reaching a level and we need to go ahead and recall it. Others, NHTSA issues the recall because they've had 6,000 phone calls that this vehicle has had this type of a problem, and then they begin their investigation into it. So the recalls kind of come from multiple directions, as well as some of the recalls are created by NHTSA just testing vehicles in a certain manner and see a repeated failure of it. But the one I always find interesting is the manufacturer initiated recalls because they found a fault or a defect in their vehicle and they jump out to get it recalled.
You know, another one that I didn't mention in that list that I went through there, tire recalls. Man, there are a ton of tire recalls. Different manufacturers, some of them you may never have heard of before, and they may be private label type stuff that you would go down to the gas station and they would give you a couple of tires, you know, for a decent price, whatever the case may be. Some of them are major manufacturers, Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Toyo, Nitto, all of those. They all, at time to time, will have a recall. So it's not unusual, and if you get a recall notification in the mail or you find a recall notification online,
safercars.gov, check your vehicle often.
And speaking of that, NHTSA has launched a mobile app that automatically checks for safety recalls and alerts users when a recall has been issued. The agency's Safer Car app, which they just came out with, allows users to type in or scan their VIN number and receive recall notifications on their Apple or Android device. Users can save information for their vehicles, car seats, tires, other equipment in a virtual garage on their devices to get critical safety information and access other NHTSA online tools. If a recall is issued, the app directs the user to a local dealership that is handling the repairs. Because here's the other thing. Most dealerships, and especially in Houston, most dealerships can handle all of the recalls for their particular brand. But there are dealerships, smaller dealerships, usually in the outlying areas, that either they don't get the parts or they don't have the mechanic that is qualified to install the part.
Or they don't have the equipment to install the part.
equipment.
You know, and sometimes the recall is issued before the part to fix it is produced. And that's not uncommon at all.
Right. You got to wait on parts.
Right.
The total number of vehicles, car seats, tires, and equipment recalled in 2019 was about 53 million.
Oh, my gosh.
According to the agency, with vehicles making up 38.6 million, or nearly 73% of those items recalled.
Act on it. You know, the thing with this app, if you don't think getting a phone call from a robocall trying to sell you solar for the roof of your house isn't annoying, wait till NHTSA starts telling you you're on your 14th or 15th recall for your vehicle.
Well, and you know,
and this is the 12th time we've told you that.
Yeah,
that's right. And we were talking about this earlier about Takata, the Takata airbag thing. Well, do you realize that there are still 20 million Takata airbags out there that have not been replaced?
And some that have been replaced have since been recalled.
Twice or three
times. And recalled because the original part, like we just talked about, sometimes the correct part isn't available. The early part of the Takata recall was they just put a new Takata bag in it that had the same problem the old one did. It just didn't have time for the corrosion to
Right. And like you were talking about the smaller outlying areas, we've got my mother's van. We had the airbags. They have 3 recalls on it.
This is a Honda, right?
There's 2 Honda dealers down there. There's one in Port Arthur, and then there's one over in Beaumont. And that's it. You don't have any choices except to come to Houston, 100 miles away. So you go there, you make the appointment, and you wait on parts.
Well, on the airbag, the Takata airbag, those airbags come in with a VIN-specific package, and you know, because we call on a lot of Honda stores with BG, and literally they would unload pallets of airbags into their parts department, and each box with that airbag in it had that customer's serial number on it, and that part had to go on that vehicle. So it's a little bit more complicated.
Was it because of the way it was designed, or just for an inventory tracking purposes?
Well, some of it was inventory tracking, but some of it was color and content. You know, if you're replacing a steering wheel airbag, you know, you've got to have the right color of the
cover,
and in some instances the cover was different from an LS to an LT or whatever the trim level is. So it could be relatively complicated for them to do that. But I remember when I was working for Oldsmobile back in '85, I actually was heavily involved in initiating a recall. The Oldsmobile Calais, and we were just starting to get them in. You remember the Calais?
Yeah. They were really popular.
Just starting to get them in, and I had looked at my third one where the hood had whacked the windshield, and the secondary hood latch was improperly made. So I'm filing these reports and calling people and letting them know, taking pictures, and there was a couple other guys around the country that were doing the same thing. So that was one of the factory initiatives, because they ended up having to recall that relatively quick and totally changed the way the secondary hood latch worked on it. But there's people out there from the manufacturers, from NHTSA, from independent organizations that are looking at failure rates of vehicles to determine, is this recallable? It's very expensive as well. You know, you got to think of how many billions of dollars they're spending on Takata.
And then there was one of them, though, I can't remember. I want to say it was one of the FCA products, but the sticker, a paper sticker on one of the minivans.
Might have had something misspelled.
Yeah, and it was a recall.
Oh, yeah.
To replace this little sticker, and it took all of 30 seconds to do it.
I remember they had, all of the cars have the door sticker that tell you the tire pressures.
Yeah.
Well, they had a tire pressure that was off by like 3 pounds, and they recalled, 300,000 vehicles because just to replace that sticker for the tire pressure being wrong.
I ran across a story. I don't want you to look. Don't look over my shoulder.
Don't read ahead. Don't read ahead.
Oh, I want to sniff your hair.
We could call you Joe.
Did he actually just say that?
Yes, he did.
I washed it and it smells really good.
Thank you. I know. It smells like cocoa butter.
Oh, God.
That's not cocoa butter.
Jeff Zeka just said that's not cocoa butter. Oh, God.
Well, we've now lost control.
Once again, the train has left the tracks.
Fell off them.
So what would you think? I'll take a survey here. Jeff Zekin over there running the cameras, and Mr. Mars and Conrad. What would you think is one of the biggest hits with consumers on vehicle technology these days? What do you think is probably the biggest hit?
I would say the internet connectivity.
Mars?
I would think the user interface, the buttons and stuff.
Well, you're both wrong.
Of course not.
No,
What about
not the key fob.
Key fob.
Drivers appreciate an extra set of eyes on the road, but they're giving the finger, quite literally, to another feature making its way into new vehicles. Those are the findings from J.D. Power. A study measures how effective automakers are in bringing advanced technologies to market in ways that consumers find intuitive and not overbearing, like that auto start-stop feature.
Or the auto braking feature.
Well,
I've had some people fuss about that.
So vehicle owners are most enamored with cameras, according to the company's 2020 U.S. Tech Experience Index. Luxury owners rate such features highest in 5 of the 6 satisfaction attributes measured in the study.
Easily.
Yep. Among advanced camera vision technologies in the mass market segment, camera rear view mirrors receive the highest overall execution score, followed by transparent trailer view and ground view cameras. So you can see, sitting in the driver's seat, all around the vehicle and especially behind you. And I have to tell you, I use that rear view backup camera all the time.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And John Gray at Gulf Coast Auto Shield can install one on your vehicle if you don't have it.
Luxury owners disliked gesture controls.
Gesture.
You can only imagine with this hand what you can tell your car. And apparently it can now read your hand.
I haven't experienced that yet.
Well, I'm just...
not the gesture. I haven't experienced the car reading the gesture.
You mean as opposed to the guy just cut you off reading what your gesture was?
I cannot wait for that technology to understand that particular gesture. And it goes, oh, I'm sorry. The auto start stop feature will now be removed from the vehicle, and you won't have to jack with it anymore.
Or it'll be like, Siri, I don't have to take that. I'm not talking to you anymore. And it'll just shut you off, and you'll coast over onto the shoulder.
So the question is, how would you know that, Mr. Mars? Now, you
so
better be
I-
careful because your preacher is listening. Just saying.
And your mom is
Yeah,
listening.
Mom's watching today.
Is she?
That's what Conrad said. He saw her up there.
Gesture controls that let occupants control various interior features using hand gestures, if you can imagine such a thing, instead of touching a knob or a screen. I won't even go there. Among automakers and their brands, Volvo ranked highest in overall innovation, earning a 617 score out of a 1,000-point scale. Well, that's not a whole lot in my book, but whatever.
No.
BMW, Cadillac, Mercedes-Benz, and Genesis followed in the luxury rankings. Hyundai ranked highest among mass market brands with a score of 556, followed by Subaru, Kia, Nissan, and Ram. The study, which was redesigned for this year, captured responses from 82,500 owners of 2020 model year vehicles surveyed after 90 days of ownership. So it seems like a legit thing. Noting the wide variation in execution strategy across brands, the J.D. Power study found some drivers have positive experiences stemming from lower stress levels while drivers using such systems, while others found them annoying and distracting. And I know about that annoying thing.
Well, one of our listeners online, Brad Hill, he was talking about the automatic braking when you're in reverse.
Yeah.
He really thinks that's almost a distraction over anything else. He tends to turn it off.
It's actually, it scares me because I'm looking, I see, I hear, I'm backing up, I got it all, and then all of a sudden the brakes get slammed on without me touching them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's frightening.
And you spill your coffee.
I don't usually drink coffee in the car, but that would be something that you would.
Oh, yeah. Well, I spill my coffee anyhow, but that's beside the point.
The In Wheel Time show streams live on Facebook.com/InWheelTime, on YouTube, and our website, InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcasts, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Quick break now, and then we're going to have a car review, and that review is the Nissan Versa. Got a chance to drive it? I think you'll be interested in what I got to say about it. Stay tuned.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I'm sorry?
He's adding his musical talent to it.
Along with the sign language.
My contribution.
The gesture recognition.
The gesture recognition.
Yeah, because that's really all the
I'm
gestures
just-
that I need is just that one.
It's the only one you use.
I don't really use that very much anymore. I don't use that
anymore. Oh, not any less.
I think
but
I
not
invented
anymore.
it, didn't I?
Somebody gestured me the other day when I was coming over here.
Well, that's yeah.
And
I've gestured you a
and I
couple of
never did
times this
figure
week,
out
but you
why.
couldn't see it. Just saying.
If I saw you, I'd gesture you.
Yeah. Okay, time now for this. Welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. Thanks for joining us today. Time now for this hour's car review. Had a chance to drive the 2020 Nissan Versa. Comes in 3 different trim levels, the S, the SV, and the SR. I had the SR CVT. The base model of the Nissan Versa actually has an available 5-speed manual. And when I give you the price of it, it's going to be the 5-speed manual. A 5-speed manual is still available.
Yeah, that's hard to come by nowadays.
This is considered a compact sedan, seats 5 passengers. Now, this one that you're looking at there, that's the gussied up one, and it looks pretty darn good if you ask me. Exterior changes from last model year, well, it's all new for 2020, and it looks good. Exterior features, longer, lower, and wider in every way. Looks a lot like the Altima, to be honest with you, and actually has a modern aero front fascia that looks really good, not overpowering the front end, I think. Our tester had a trunk lid mounted spoiler. What I liked about it overall, the overall look competes with the best in class and wins, I think. Tell me.
It's a good looking car.
I think it is too. For a compact, and when I tell you
entry-level compact,
when I tell you the price, you're going to go, what could use improvement? Nothing, in my estimation. Interior, the highlights include great modern design elements with available contrasting colors, and that particular picture right there shows you the contrasting colors. Mine didn't have that, but if that's what you like.
But you really like the interior. I remember when you had it for that price point. You loved the interior.
Easy to use infotainment system. It actually had some backseat legroom. Now, remember, this is a compact, and that can be tight back there. Yeah, you do have to move up the front passenger seat and the driver's seat to let the persons behind you get some legroom, but it's a compact.
It is.
Okay.
It is compact.
So keep that in mind. Also, the trunk. It's got more room than you would think, but it is a small car. What I liked about it, I liked pretty much all of it. What could use improvement? Would have liked a more adjustable lumbar. I had to find something to fill in the blank, and that's what I came up with. Now, as far as engines are concerned, well, it comes with a 1.6-liter inline 4-cylinder, naturally aspirated, no turbo, 122 horsepower. You might not think that's very much. Well, it's not. Torque, only 114 pound-feet. But it has a CVT transmission, and that's how they get by with that little bit of a horsepower.
Because it keeps it right in the torque peak as the CVT
all the time,
accelerates.
And here's the bonus for that. Miles per gallon in the city, 32. Miles per gallon on the highway, 40.
Wow.
For a combined of 35. I got 37.9 miles per gallon over 305.5 miles.
That's pretty awesome.
What I liked about it? Hello, gas mileage.
Exactly.
And I like the look of it. I really like this car. Ride and handling, great, compliant ride. It is not a sports car, doesn't pretend to be a sports car. So if that's what you're looking for, then you don't want this car. You want a sports car. This is an all-around, cool little sedan at the entry level. What could use improvement on the handling? Nothing. It's an all-purpose road car for all. You want a commuter car. You drive a lot. You go from Sugar Land to downtown Houston, or you go from Sugar Land to Hobby Airport 30 miles a day one way. Hey, maybe this is for you, because it'll certainly do 75, 80 miles an hour like the rest of the South Sam Houston Tollway.
You're not going to get run over necessarily.
And you're not going to have range anxiety from an electric car.
Don't even start with me. Base trim price. $14,830.
What?
But get this. That is about $2,000 more than last year's model. But it's longer, lower, wider.
Prettier.
Got more going for it. The standard content of the car has upped the ante. So you get a lot more car for the money, but it's still $14,830. Price is tested $21,490, but I got the loaded up one. Base model price. Remember, I had the $18,240.
Yes,
so for under $20,000, sticker, and you know you can get a little wiggle room in that. You can get yourself a pretty decent car. So you're looking for a college car for a kid.
Great car.
Yeah. So in comparison, its competitors: Toyota Yaris, $15,650. Hyundai Accent, $15,295. And those are really the only two competitors. There aren't any more.
See, and I'm surprised Hyundai is that much pricier at that point, because generally Hyundai was always underpricing everybody. So that's pretty amazing that Nissan brought that price down that low.
Well, I thought it was a pretty good car. So take that.
Well, I remember you bragging about how much you love the interior in that thing.
I did, because it worked well.
It was cloth.
It was cloth, yeah. He likes cloth.
I do like cloth interiors.
Now, but the one you had the CVT, but didn't you say you could get a manual?
Yes, you get a
5-speed in that?
5-speed manual is the base model
That's
price.
the 14.8 car.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you,
Nobody's
I
gonna
think that
steal it.
personally, I would rather have the manual than the CVT, but that's just me. That's my driving style.
Right.
I want to shift.
Particularly
gears.
with the way you drive it out on the highway, because you don't actually have to do that much. I mean, you go through the gears to get where you're going, but it's not like it's constant.
Yeah. So I guess
Interesting.
I guess that's all.
Cool. I like it.
Did you like it? I turned.
Well, yeah, and I'm thinking, I had a granddaughter that just ended up with a car, and
Should have bought this.
Spend quite that much, but I'm thinking, man, maybe with the financing and stuff.
Well, you got to look
It
at
may
a
have
lot
been
of
an
times new car financing is a better deal than used car
Well, that's what
financing.
I'm saying. Yep.
And if you kind of get close in price, you can probably get lower in payment by using new car financing.
And the warranty, by the time you figure in a warranty.
And the wheel and deal.
She's
and,
gone
you know,
off several hundred miles away to school, so take it to the dealer. Don't worry about finding somebody to fix it. Lots of things.
So why don't you trade it in and get her a new one?
Well, I'm going to mention that.
We'll mention that to somebody, but
Mention
it
that
ain't
to
gonna
her
be,
parents, but
it
not
ain't
you,
gonna
yeah.
be you.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the In Wheel Time Car Show, and coming up next, we're going to have a look at the car calendar and the race card. Race card. Stay with us.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still hasn't stopped. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
It's In Wheel Time, America's most popular car talk show. We are all things automotive. We always take a look at what's going on as far as the car calendar is concerned and the race card. And Conrad always takes care of that for us.
Well, car calendar, again, the big thing is next weekend, the Advanced Auto Parts Labor Day Classic out at Houston Motorsports Park. We talked to Gina. I think we're going to talk to her again here shortly about what's coming up. Also on September 7th, the Labor Day Car Show in Alvin at the Garage Bar and Grill, and that is a judged show. They're going to be giving out 35 trophies and stuff. So
wow.
Go show up. It should be a lot of fun. And it's a great place in Alvin, just as you go south on 35 bypass. It's easy to find on the west side of the road.
Alvin!
September 26th, the 3rd Annual Car and Bike Show at Lake Church in Montgomery, Texas. The Military and Veterans High Performance Driving Events at the Houston Police Academy is October 3rd, and it starts at 7 a.m. So that could be a lot of fun as well. The Keels and Wheels, do we have status on that right now?
It's done. It's canceled. Well,
until next year.
This year it's canceled. It'll be at the regular date in 2021.
On October 17th, the April Sound Show and Shine up in Lake Conroe at the April Sound Country Club. So there's always lots of stuff coming up in the future. Racing this weekend is Saturday night is going to be
tonight.
Yeah, that'll be tonight at 5 p.m. There's going to be drag racing out at Baytown. Every Friday night there's drag racing at Houston Motorsports Park. Also on Sundays there's drag racing at Houston Motorsports Park or the 8th Mile stuff, and then Test and Tune. It's Test and Tune on Sunday. The area dirt tracks, the Cotton Bowl Speedway, they're going to have racing tonight at 7 p.m., and that's the one in Page, Texas. 105 Speedway in Cleveland, they're going to be having racing tonight. Gulf Coast Speedway is off this weekend, and the Texana Speedway in Edna is going to be off this weekend. Gateway IndyCars is tonight at...
What's Gateway?
Gateway is St. Louis.
Oh.
Formula One Belgian Grand Prix is tomorrow. Daytona is tonight. They're doing the night race at Daytona for NASCAR, so that'll be under the lights.
Are they going to use
tonight.
the road course? Or the...
No. It's going to be the round, the 2.5 mile round course.
So, in other words, I can go to sleep extra early until the very last couple of legs of the race, and
watch the replays.
Yeah.
IMSA is back on the 4th at Road Atlanta. NHRA is going to be, of course, Labor Day weekend is the big go at Indianapolis. And we're going to be cheering our friend of the show, Erica Enders, as well.
Thank you, sir. Hey, if you're a member of a Car Truck or Jeep club, you can put your group in our In Wheel Time Car Club spotlight. Just email us the club's information and contact name and number, and we'll take it from there. The email address is info@inwheeltime.com. We're back with Gina Child Knowles and how a short track race actually comes together from a promoter stand. You know, she kind of orchestrates that whole thing. Who's going to race when and where, and what time the gates open, what time everybody has to get there. All of
she's the dance coordinator.
Well, and she's the cat herder. I mean,
I think she would go for dance coordinator.
Well, okay.
I don't know if Gina's a cat lady or not, but we'll go with the dance coordinator. Dancing with the Childs.
She's coming up next.
It's 4 a.m. Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@nwheeltime.com. From Studio A, welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Show. You are, we are, and we all are. The whole earth is.
We
all
be.
Things automotive.
Everywhere in the
that's
universe.
very inclusive, Don. Good job.
Thank you very much. I try to.
Speaking of inclusive, we have Gina coming up.
Well, yes, we do. Yeah. Along with Mike Out of This World.
Where
Mark,
he was going with that.
I'm trying to keep up. Of course, y'all are probably trying to keep up with me, and hell, I'm trying to keep up with me. Are you kidding?
Prevagen is
along
good.
with it's kicked in. I can remember yesterday, but right now, nah. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us today. And we talked to Gina Child Knowles about local racing out at Houston Motorsports Park. And it goes under the umbrella of the Texas Short Track Racing Series. There's an event coming up next Saturday night, the Labor Day Shootout, or I don't know what she's titled it, but it's the Labor Day race. What, Gina? What are you calling it?
The Advanced
Labor Day Classic.
The Labor Day Classic.
Advanced Auto Parts Labor Day Classic.
Okay. Well, I knew it was something, but
good try.
I'm going to write it in big letters so it's in front of Don.
Labor Day Classic. No, I've got it.
Everybody's writing it down.
Nobody can read my writing, and so I don't have to worry about somebody looking over my shoulder. But, Gina, what I wanted to talk to you about this hour is from a promoter's standpoint. Now, you know, as I mentioned last hour when I talked to you, that it was like, okay, so you kind of are the dance queen. You kind of have to do the dance for everybody, bring everybody together. This is the way we're going to run the race. These are the categories of cars that we're going to have here. This is when we're going to wave the green flag. This is when the flyover is going to happen. You put together the time schedule, and then you bring everybody together. But I want to know how that all starts, because you had to start from scratch. So how do you start? How do you begin building a actual Texas Short Track Racing Series card? How do you do that? How does that start?
Well, it starts at the kitchen table.
Good.
Over a beer or two, right?
There you go.
Yeah, and it's usually during the week I'll reach out and ask key people on the team their thoughts and how would they do it. And I take all those ways and I think about how I would do it. And then I sit down with Bo, my husband, and we develop it there. It is a very timely process and stressful too.
Gina, we all I can see.
You must have touched your phone because all it says is Gina's iPhone.
Yeah, but we can hear you, I think. Can we still hear you?
No, we dropped her. She dropped.
We dropped you.
She dropped. Okay.
Gina, we'll be right back with you in a couple of moments.
Yeah, but at any rate, so, okay, well, and that only makes sense. So you sit down at the kitchen table, you talk to a bunch of folks.
Well, and I imagine she has a template that she's used before that's
Okay, she's
worked.
back. Okay, you're back now. So can we? No, are you muted? Who's muted here? Somebody's muted. You know, it's the damnedest thing. Okay,
there we go.
Okay, now you are. Okay, so we sat down.
It's my damn husband's fault. We play at the table when we're making the schedule, and he calls and interrupts the call. It's endless.
I got it. I got you. Okay, so we start at the kitchen table. Bo is there, and y'all have already talked to race car drivers and other people that are instrumental in putting the race together. And you get all these ideas, and you sit down with a piece of paper and go, okay, well, let's do it this way.
Well, and you probably have to look to a degree of what classes fill up for you as well in the past, and that's kind of
definitely. And I look at other race schedules. I log on to a lot of short tracks around the U.S. and look at how they schedule stuff. I like to watch shows of the race, you know, how they're presented and things. I ask a lot of people and think about a lot of things, and then I think about how our crowd, how Houston fans would want to see the show. I've gotten on the website NASCARHouston.com. I've got where you can click on give me your 2 cents, and I've gotten a response from a man and his little son continuously, and I listened to his advice. And the last show I actually did it the way that he had recommended, and I saw him there with his son, and he said thank you. He finally got to see a truck race, because usually they're later in the schedule. So in the summer, I try to accommodate that and do something a little different.
Well, I want to compliment you on it, because I know that from working with you this year that it has been a goal of yours for the green flag to wave at 7 o'clock and have the racing over with for the night at 9:30. And I think that is an absolutely brilliant plan, and I have to compliment you because 2 weeks ago, in the last race over there, that it ended at 9:30. How great is that? Because it gives you as a family enough time to get the kids home and in bed. Heck, man, I was at home by 10:30.
Well, and I could be home where I am at by 11:15.
Yeah, so everybody could get home. And I think that's also an important part, because you had mentioned last hour when we talked to you, you had gone to a race out there, and the race didn't end until midnight or 12:30. Who's left?
And then you got to get home.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and that is it's a length of a movie. That's what you want it. You know, the length of a movie. So for me, I want all of the racers to have the same amount of fans watching them. I want the same value for every racer out there. And if you run them late, you're not giving those racers any chance at making their sponsors happy or earning new fans.
Okay.
That's super important.
Let me ask you this. So why do you put the eco stocks first and the trucks or the big cars at the very end? What made you do it in that order?
Well, typically that's the way it's been done. Usually it's your feature of the night, your big race. It will be your last class, right?
So it's kind of like an undercard.
I like to mix it up too. And I do like the races that are structured like that. I mean, it's kind of like, I guess when you go to another show, the big guys, the monster trucks, the big guys come last. But sometimes I think in summertime, I think you should change it up, because summers are different. The crowd's different. They're in a different mode. than they are in a non-summertime. So summers I kind of play with. I want to play with the schedule a little bit.
Okay,
my
so-
husband doesn't like it because he's got to change the template up, and it drives him nuts when I do this.
But that's part of your job.
That's
as a
what
wife.
wives are for.
Yeah, exactly. So all right.
agree.
So I want to know: am we going to see the NASCARs again? Am I going to see the Legend cars again?
Not this race on September 5th. The NASCARs, those guys are, most of them work in an industry where they're constantly working right now. There no rest, I guess. So they really, we don't have but a couple. You
can't fill the field.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they will be back hopefully one time at least this year.
Okay.
Legends, no, they're not here this race.
All right, and I guess that what needs to be said here is the fact that that's part of playing the juggling act, because you have to look at what else is drawing them, because there may be a big purse for, let's just say, the Legends cars
somewhere else,
right?
Or the NASCAR trucks. You have to look at where they're racing, because everybody gets pulled in different directions.
Right.
I know that there was a race the night before your race 2 weeks ago in Florida, because I talked to a couple of drivers and they said, yeah, so they got rained out. They were in Florida for an event on Friday night. They drove all the next day to get to her race on Saturday night, because they are so compassionate about what they do.
The racers, they want to race.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So she's got to keep all of that in mind, and I think that that's an important thing for you to, for everybody to understand what you're dealing with. Okay, so let's talk just a moment, if you will, about the staff, all of the people that you've got there, because you've got officials. You got the guy that does, is it Denny Burton out there that does tech inspections?
Right, he runs our whole tech. He's tech
and he's a former racer, because I remember him, I think, at Myers Speedway.
Definitely.
Yeah, so he's a former racer. He does all of the tech inspections. So can you imagine knowing that much about all those different classes of cars to know whether or not they can pass tech inspections?
Right. Well, and a lot of tech inspection is safety inspection, which is a real important part of what the series wants, is they want everybody to be safe as well.
So there's that aspect of it, but you also got the people that work in the hot dog stand. Then you got the people up in the tower, the people that are actually guiding the race, the race director, and all of the people keeping. And then on top of that, every driver, if I'm not mistaken, has a transponder, so we know where they are on the track. Am I correct?
That's correct.
So,
and then you have to coordinate driver introductions. You know, it truly is a dance card that you build to make sure everybody knows where they're supposed to be when to put on the show, because it's ultimately a show for the fans.
And, you know,
it is.
I have to compliment you as well on this commemorative Air Force flyover that you do at the beginning. What a great added attraction that is. Everybody loves it.
Yes, it's one of my favorite things. And what's really, I wanted to do a flyover. Everyone's like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Flyover, come on. I'm like, there's got to be a way. And when I was doing the marketing and promoting for my brother, the photographer at HMP is now in charge of those guys. That's what he does. He handles all the marketing and promotions for them and their involvement in Wings Over Houston.
Oh, cool.
And all that. So it was another racing relationship that led me to one of the coolest things we have now. I think it's my favorite thing.
And let's not forget the gals that work the ticket booth, because I mean, that's another aspect that most people don't even think about. They don't get to see the race.
Yeah, but they're wonderful to go stop up and talk to. I've few times I've been.
And one of the drawbacks, Gina, that I had was that archaic system that was in place before you got there, where you did your tickets before you even parked the car. The line was out on the road. It was just a mess. And I know that ticket booth that you're using had been flooded. The inside, it was all moldy and everything. They went in there and redid it all. So now the people walk up and buy a ticket, and the way it should be, I think.
There's a lot of things that I wanted to change, and you're very limited because of funding. You have to really be smart about what you do
what you spend.
So you'll last.
Yeah.
So you're stable and racing stays around, because for the show to grow, and by show I mean for more racers to come and more race cars to come, they have to be confident that you're going to be around. And so that takes time to build back up, especially if you're the only asphalt short track in Texas. If you go under, you've got a lot of guys, a lot of racers and women with stuff in their garage that's totally worthless. Who wants to do that? I definitely don't want to do that. So that is another thing I have to focus on. And that really is a stress that stresses me out some too.
Well,
but
and I'm
that's
sure
what you have to do.
And I'm sure there's other people out there that go to the race, they look at it, they see it, and say, "Man, I'd like to try and get into this." And so if they're going to make that investment to try and build a car and work their way up through the classes, they've got to know you're going to be there.
That's
because
right.
otherwise,
That's right.
I go out there and spend the money to build a car, and then you're gone.
I have to tell you, Gina, that EcoStock class, I have a whole different respect for those guys because, well, and here's the reason, because I think that there's a $1,500 limit, because anybody could go out there and buy one of those things for $1,500.
It's a $2,200 claim rule. You can claim it. A fan can claim any race car he sees on that track for $2,200 and be racing it by the next race.
All right, I'm going to go out there with cash, and I'm going to buy that green Oldsmobile.
We could be in.
So in other words, what you are is you are a racer's crack, is what you are, waiting out there. Because I'm thinking, I only want $2,200. I'm in. So $2,200, and it does not include the pace car, and I just wanted to say that right up front. So,
that's just the EcoStock.
That's the EcoStock.
We've had two guys since the last race buy cars, and we're gonna have two more.
So if you claim it, then you got. So I guess you got to have a trailer to take it home, or
That's
something.
right. If you come to the track with a trailer and cash, yes.
Yeah. So
we're in business.
What's so cool about that is that you, as a car owner, that you've gone to the junkyard, you pulled this thing out there, you've made it race ready, because they still have safety regulations, right?
Okay.
And these cars are mainly compact cars that are somewhere between 10 and 20 years old, for the most part.
Right.
You follow me?
Uh-huh.
And some of these cars have been beaten. As a matter of fact, one guy that I interviewed, the car had been upside down several times. No big deal. Just push it over,
Roll it back over.
And get it started, and away you go again. And so that's the fun part of that, and I think everybody really likes it.
What's funny? I've got to tell you this real quick.
Yeah.
Will Planter, who you're talking about, Will Planter, he was upset because we like to change it up on the competition side and make them invert the top six sometimes.
Yep.
So it evens things out.
Sure.
It keeps things even. It's just racing karma. But anyway, he came up to me after the drivers' meeting and said, "Man, I work real hard. I work all week, and I put it in the car, and then I qualified great. I really was focused on my times, and y'all invert me, and I start sixth." And I said, "Okay, I'm sorry." I talked to him a little bit. After the race, he won. He came up to me in the stands. He said, "Gina, forget all that. I loved it. Best thing ever."
because it made him actually race
Yes.
cars.
He had to work at it.
That's right.
Well,
when I remember racing, I used to watch my dad. If he won on a Saturday night, they made him start in the back of the same field the next race. And honestly, everyone did that. If you won, you started in the back. I think that is what helps racers become great drivers and great competitors because of that, because you're going to want to win again. So you're going to drive a little more respectfully, and you're going to learn a lot more, a lot faster than the other guy.
Yeah, you're going to push a little harder.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I think that you've got a great thing going out there, and hopefully word gets out to the entire world of what a great event, an affordable great event, $15 for a ticket for an adult to go out and have 2.5, 3 hours of fun on a Saturday night with the family.
What else are you going to do for $5 an hour?
And, I think, Gina, that people are really looking forward to getting out there, and that's the other thing, too. Social distancing. The stands are big enough. You got plenty of room between everybody. You're outdoors. There's hand sanitizer out there. You want a hot dog? Great. They got them down there for $1. I understand that last race that ran out of beer.
Well, yes, people buy them by the buckets, the $1 beer bucket. And people say it's sold out. It's like, we have so much before the race. It sells out fast because people get a big group and each of them grab a bucket.
Hey, Josh Looper's online saying, somebody claim my car, please.
Well, Gina, we love you, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your Saturday to talk to us. You know, we truly enjoy coming out there and being a part of the family. You've made that perfectly clear. And, you know, I think my word to everybody is that when you go out there, you're going to feel the family presence out there because it's run by a family, and there are family people out there that are all involved, whether it's the concession stand or the race director or the guy that's mopping up the wreck out there in the infield.
Or you got family on the track driving cars.
Yes.
Well, there's that too.
Very much.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot. And speaking of family, Greg Davison was not an Oldsmobile guy. He was a Pontiac guy. My mom called me. Said, Gina, you got to tell him that you were wrong.
It was a Pontiac.
I said, Mom, I thought it was Pontiac Olds. Wasn't it Pontiac Olds? I thought it was. I don't know.
No.
Well,
I had to correct that from the last show. Sorry.
Gina, we know how you millennials are.
Okay, I'll take that. I don't know if I want to be called a millennial, but I'll take being younger.
Thank you. Well, that's what I was going for. We love you,
Yes,
Gina
thank you.
Shile.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Houston
guys.
Motorsports
Have a great
Park
day.
and the Texas Asphalt Racing Series out there. It's a great deal. We invite you to go out there next Saturday night. Yeah, it is. We've got more of the In Wheel Time online show coming up right after this quick break.
RB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. A reminder that if you'd like to get in touch with us here at In Wheel Time, shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Time now for a look at This Week in Automotive History. And personally, I like This Week in Automotive History.
Yes, it's real interesting.
Yeah.
Really
Just
is.
a real quick comment. 105 Speedway, we were notified online that they have canceled for tonight, so the people in East Texas get an opportunity to heal from the storm damage. This Week in Automotive History, Cadillac was established by Henry Leland in 1901. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt became the first U.S. president to ride in an automobile. Kind of cool. I tried to figure out what car it was.
1902?
1902. I tried to figure
Had
out
to
what
be
kind of
pretty
car
early.
it was, but
No, it wasn't an Oldsmobile.
Well, there was an Oldsmobile back then, but I don't think it was that. I'll find out for next week. Also, in 1904, Henry Weed of Conestoga, New York.
What a great last name. Hey, man, got some weed?
Issued a patent for grip tread for pneumatic tires.
God almighty.
So it was tire chains he ended up patenting in 1904.
No, here's a guy that clearly is into weed, and he invented snow chains.
Well, he lived in upstate New York. In 1913,
Weed.
automobiles were
Woodstock.
legally allowed into Yosemite National Park for the first time, which marked a significant change in the national park system by letting cars in. And then in 1922, a 23-liter car named Chitty Chitty Bang Bang won the first South Sea Speed Carnival, driven by Louis Zabrowski at 71 miles an hour.
Oh, my God. It's one of your people, Jeff Zekin, Mr. Lebrowski.
Again, the name was reappeared in Ian Fleming's book about the magical car, and then in the 1968 movie of the same name starring Dick Van Dyke. In 1940, LaSalle, which was a lower entry-level Cadillac brand, was discontinued after 14 years of production. In 1945, the last Cadillac-built M24 tank was produced as Cadillac was building vehicles for the war effort in World War II.
I want to go back to the chitty chitty bang bang, the 23 liters. You know what that is in cubic inches?
A ton.
1,403.546 cubic inches.
Massive.
1,400 cubic inches.
And he got it going 73 miles an hour.
Well, yeah, but he couldn't stop it.
Yeah, it took him 20 miles to stop.
God. You know what? He's related to the weed guy. I know that there's some sort of connection there.
A cousin or something.
This week in 1957, Ford rolled out the Edsel brand.
Oh, God.
In 1958, Maria Teixeira de Filippi was the first woman ever to complete a Formula One race.
I wonder if the street here in Houston called San Felipe, as you said, it's San Felipe, but whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's some sort of a relationship.
Probably
there.
not. And there have actually been 6.
We're on the subject of weed, and so I had to kind of go there.
There have been 6 women who've competed in Formula One racing as well.
I like how he's just ignoring you.
He's not ignoring me.
In 1959, the British Motor Company launches
He's sucking it all in.
Its newest car, the affordable $800 Mark I Mini.
What?
The Mini was released in 1959, and it originally only cost $800.
Well, 1959 was a great year.
And then in 1985, first introduced what vehicle? 1985 vehicle brand.
Had to be an Oldsmobile.
Yugo. 1985 was Yugo was introduced, and probably in like 1987, Yugo went away.
It was recalled
because they had all rusted away. Do you know why Yugos came standard with a rear window defogger? To keep your hands warm while you pushed it. Sorry. And that was This Week in Automotive History.
My God. You know, I kind of felt at the beginning of the program that it was going to go off the tracks. This is about the 3rd or 4th time that the show has gone off the tracks today. But that's okay.
Yeah, we have fun.
We do try to have fun here. So, as a matter of fact, what I've done is that I've just gone ahead and canceled all of the other breaks that we have, so I could at least kind of
get a little automotive news in here.
Just a little. Cadillac faces an ambitious to-do list as it prepares to make its lineup fully electric within the next decade, starting with the Lyriq crossover, unveiled this month. GM partnering with EVgo to add 2,700 fast charging stations to about 40 markets over the next 5 years. And the Lyriq will be powered by GM's proprietary Ultium batteries that will have a range of more than 300 miles at launch. Dealership service bays will need unique lifts to accommodate the batteries and special tools for EV service work. Many dealers fear that EV sales will yield little returns after they invest in charging and fixed operations equipment along with an EV training program.
Did you also hear that GM switched the Corvette engineering team over to the electric vehicle?
I did. I had that story, but, that's really not that unusual.
No, they're kind of wait until they come back for the C9 to come out. But, that I thought that was kind of odd to switch that whole engineering team over to EVs and autonomous vehicles.
They're not actually leaving Corvette. No. They're still there.
But their focus is going to be EV and autonomous vehicles.
And not only that, but it makes sense because that there's going to be an electric Corvette in the not too
or at least
distance.
a hybrid version, where they're going to have an electric.
I think they're going to go all electric.
You think they're going to go full electric?
Absolutely.
I think they are.
Absolutely.
They get a little bit more range on the battery.
Well, it'll have to be more than the 1,400 horsepower Mach-E.
Well, it will be.
Yeah.
I guarantee you it will be. Well, this last car standing in Ford Motor Company U.S. portfolio is going to stick around at least through the next decade. The automaker plans to stretch the next generation Mustang program to 8 years, up from a previously planned 6, suppliers have been told. Production of the next-gen Mustang will begin in late 2022 for the 23 model year, according to people familiar with Ford's product plans. Expectation for an 8-year program mirrors the life cycle of the current model, which went on sale in 2014. Not uncommon for automakers to shift product timelines in the years leading up to the launch of a new or redesigned model. Extending the 7th generation Mustang's life cycle could help Ford save on engineering and development costs.
It's profitable, and they want to keep it that way.
Well, U.S. sales of the Mustang fell another 12% to 33,000 in the first half of the year.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it's gotten long in the tooth, and they've done about all they can do with the current generation, so they need to get on with it.
Yeah, because all the kids that keep running them into the parking lots on the curbs whenever they leave the car shows need new ones.
Right. So did you hear that Amazon ordered 100,000 e-Sprinter vans, fully electric Sprinter vans?
I did, but you know what I think is going to happen with that? I think that this will be the last of that, because I think that Amazon's going to start making their own, to be honest with you.
It could be.
Yeah.
You can order them on Amazon.
Order them on Amazon. That's right, Jeff.
Thank you very much. You know, that's part of the reason that we have Jeff around here. I mean,
he's thinking ahead.
He's always thinking ahead. Well, you know what the sound means?
We need more Jeff.
We need more Jeff. That's exactly what that means. That is it for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. When you're on Facebook, please give us a like and share us with your friends. We got plenty of us to go around. You'll get Conrad's Unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are found on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks to all of our guests today. The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is that fabulous David Ainsley. Our video and marketing maven is Jeffrey Zekin. The In Wheel Time Car Show is produced and directed by the man from Uncle. For booking agent and podcast man Mike Out of This World Mars and his royalty king Conrad DeLong, I am Don Armstrong saying so long for now, and we hope that you'll join us live next and every Saturday 10 to noon right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. Thanks for being part of the In Wheel Time family. Enjoy your weekend. Mask up, be fabulous, wash those nasty hands, and stay sanitary. Don Armstrong, Don Pardo saying, this is Don Pardo. So long for now, and good night.